show. It's Marc with the Fantasy Knockout Fantasy Football Show. Today is Tuesday, December 6th. I'm excited for today's show. It's the Week 14 must-add players. Who are we looking at this week? Who's the flavor of the week for quarterback and defense? You can follow the show on social media at Fantasy Knockout. Make sure to subscribe whatever platform you're watching or listening on. And let's hit that new goal of 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Let's talk some news.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Here is the news.
News with views. So tight end Hayden Hurst from Cincinnati. His head coach Zach Taylor said Hurst with a calf is doubtful for week 14. Tyler Boyd kind of typically fills in and takes over Hurst's production when he misses time. Running back Joe Mixon from Cincinnati. His head coach Zach Taylor said that Mixon has a, quote, chance to clear concussion protocol early in the week. Quarterback Lamar Jackson from Baltimore. His head coach John Harbaugh said Lamar with his knee is unlikely to play in week 14. Typically, it's about a 2 to 3 week recovery for Lamar's injury. Quarterback Baker Mayfield from Carolina. Reports say the Panthers are expected to waive Baker, so he's done there in Carolina. Quarterback Tua Tagovailoa out of Miami. Reports say Tua in his ankle is expected to play in week 14, so that's good news. Quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo from the San Francisco 49ers is out for the season with a broken foot. Quarterback Josh Johnson, he's a free agent. He was signed by San Francisco, so that's a depth piece there. Quarterback Matthew Stafford from the Rams. His head coach Sean McVay said that Stafford in his neck has a spinal cord contusion and that it's season ending, so Stafford's going to be shut down there for the Rams. Running back Ken Walker from Seattle. His head coach Pete Carroll said that Walker and his ankle jammed his ankle and that we'll, quote, have to see what happens and what that means. Backup DJ Dallas also suffered an ankle injury there. So the next man up would be Tony Jones or Travis Homer. And then last is wide receiver Cortland Sutton from Denver. His head coach Nathaniel Hackett said that Sutton and his hamstring is day-to-day. Main event, the players to add for Week 14, the waiver wire edition. Teams on bye this week for Week 14. There's 6 of them. That's Atlanta, Chicago, Green Bay, Indianapolis, New Orleans, and Washington. So I have these players listed in importance by position. So we'll start off with some quarterbacks. Check to see if Jared Goff is out there. He's at Detroit. He's about 50% owned. Mike White from the Jets. He's about 18% owned. Tyler Huntley from Baltimore, 1% owned. And Brock Purdy from San Francisco, 1% owned. So if you need a quarterback, you can pick up one of those guys. If you're in need of a tight end, Greg Dulcich from Denver, he's about 37% owned. Cole Kmet with Chicago, yes, he's on bye this week, but see if he's dropped, he's about 78% owned. Evan Ingram from Jacksonville, 43% owned. And Foster Moreau from Las Vegas, he's about 62% owned. Some running backs to look at this week. James Cook is my number one back to pick up. He's from Buffalo. He's about 24% owned. Zonovan Knight out of New York. He's about 47% owned. Cam Akers from the Rams. He played about 72% of the snaps for the Rams last week. He's about 46% owned. Jerick McKinnon from Kansas City is about 41% owned. Jordan Mason out of San Francisco. He's about 15% owned. DJ Dallas from Seattle. He's about 3% owned. And then if you're in need of a wide receiver, Michael Gallup from Dallas, he's 53% owned. Jahan Dotson from Washington, about 15% owned. Corey Davis from the Jets, 13% owned. Darius Slayton from the Giants, 61% owned. Zay Jones from Jacksonville, he's about 54% owned. Nico Collins out of Houston, 29% owned. DJ Chark from Detroit, he's about 16% owned. All right, if you're in need of a streaming quarterback this week, I got 2 for you. Ryan Tannehill from Tennessee. He's got Jacksonville. He's about 17% owned. He's got a good matchup. Should get to open up the offense a little bit more against Jacksonville this week. And then Tyler Huntley, he'd be my pickup of the week for a quarterback. He's got Pittsburgh, who's probably the best defense or the best defense to play your quarterback against. He's about 1% owned, and he's always filled in nicely for Lamar when Lamar has missed time. And then in streaming defenses, if you're looking for defense, there's not much there this week. Minnesota is probably my number one defense to pick up. They're about 45% owned. They're at Detroit. The last 4 games for Minnesota, they've had 6 sacks, 4 interceptions, 2 fumbles. And, we want to stream our defenses against Detroit. Cincinnati would be the next defense I would look to. They're at home versus Cleveland. They're about 25% owned. The last 3 games, they've had 5 sacks and 1 fumble recovery. And hopefully Deshaun is still struggling a little bit. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today. The next show is the Week 14 must-start players. Thank you for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe, and whatever platform you're on, please leave that rating and review. It really helps me out. All right, till next time, see ya!